Well, hi, we are back. We're ready to taste this wine. Now, we learned all about John Harding and we learned about the original cabin. And so we are now going to learn about pairing wine and food. Kylie, my videographer, is here with me again. And I'll be tasting the wine and food. And she'll be tasting the food and not the wine. And you want to tell us why?
I am expecting, so I am going to pass on the wine as much as it kills me. But my senses, or my nose, is a lot more heightened now. So at least I can smell it and kind of get what the pairing would be like.
Yeah. Did you all know that pregnant women have the best nose? They can smell things. All of a sudden, your senses are intensified. So she's going to have fun smelling it,
Yep.
and eating the food, and I'm going to enjoy the pairing. So here we have Founder's Red. Founder's Red is a single variety Merlot.
So what does single variety mean?
So single variety simply means there's no other grape blended into this wine. So it's the French model for us to blend wines. So, and typically what one grape won't have, another grape will have. And blending has been the French model. And so even in California, they've picked up this model because their influence is France. Merlot is sort of soft and round, where a Cabernet is very like structured. And so it's common to blend a little of one into the other. To give structure to a Merlot or to give some roundness to a Cabernet. So we've decided to make our Merlot and our Cabernet single variety, and we just do a real good job on them. They really represent the grape variety. Awesome. So yeah, okay. Good question. Yeah, Thanks for asking. Yeah. Here's the pairings for today. This is so much fun, y'all. So we have a new meat in 3.
The Belle Meade meat in 3, which is located right here on site, which is awesome.
So I've chosen today, red wine, red meat, we're always gonna, that's always sort of easy, right? But when you're matching food and wine, you should always match them body to body. So a Cabernet is gonna get a filet mignon, like much heartier cut of meat. But Merlot has always been perfect for prime rib and for lighter cuts of beef. So we have here today a smoked brisket, and this is delicious.
Yes. I've already had this brisket, and it is one of my favorites that we have, so I can only imagine this pairing. Distraction.
So red wine, red meat, that's pretty basic, but here's a surprise, is that we have on the plate, you want to show the plate again? We have collard greens. Collard greens, y'all, in the South, are you kidding? They are amazing. And you wouldn't think of pairing like a green veggie with a Merlot, except that the recipe for this, when you cook collard greens in the South, you use fat, like bacon fat, and you use vinegar, and that's your acid. And there's also, I know, some horseradish in this, so you've got this little bit of spark, a little bit of kick to it, which makes it pair beautifully with the Merlot. So it's not just red meat. If you've got a real hearty, full-flavored vegetable recipe that you like, it'll hold up to that as well.
As long as it's not the healthy vegetable. So you just have to make it unhealthy for it to taste good.
Exactly.
Red wine.
Which is what we do in the South. We take perfectly healthy greens and make them unhealthy.
Yes.
Not really. They're still a little healthy.
Yeah, I mean, got some nutrients in there.
We've got this little sliver of cheese. And this cheese is called Nina. Now, Nina is from Kenny's Farmhouse Cheese. It's made with beer. So Nina is not a kind of cheese. Do you know how it got its name?
I do not.
You do not? Well, now, Nina is Kenny's mom, and Nina was sent out to watch the cheese. It's a brand new cheese. It was in development, and she saw something funky on the top, and so she had a beer in her hand. Don't we love Nina? It turned out to be the rind. She was washing the rind off the beer, and every few days she would go back and she would see the rind blooming and would wash it off. So when Kenny finally realized the cheese wasn't blooming a rind, he, asked his mom, and she's like, "Oh, I've been washing it off with beer." He's like, "Oh, okay, let's give this a try." So they cut into it. It turns out it's delicious. This Nina is going to remind you a little bit of a Manchego, right? So a Manchego is one of the few cheeses that pairs well with red and white wine, and our little Nina here does as well. Got kind of a bitterness to it, but when it's paired with Founder's Red, our Merlot, it brings out the chocolate in it. It tastes like cocoa. It's unbelievable. So speaking of chocolate, the next thing we have is one of our chocolates from
Tempered, which
Tempered.
is a local shop here in Nashville. It's in the Germantown sector. It's really, really amazing. It's actually a small absinthe bar too, so they do absinthe chocolate pairings, which is really nice.
It's the coolest little place in town.
Is.
And they were hit by the tornado. So if you're in town, you want to go visit Tempered. You'll love it. It's a great little shop, great chocolates. The science behind chocolate and red wine tells us that it doesn't really help a wine. Sugar is not a friend of wine, whereas fat and acid is. However, this is a chili pepper milk chocolate, so it's always about the ganache, like what's on the inside.
Yep.
So this little bit of spice on this is going to, again, give this Merlot a little kick, and that's really great. The smoked brisket is going to give it a smoky flavor. So with every pairing, this wine is going to take on a whole different flavor, and this is the beauty of wine and food.
Yep, I was just going to say that. That is awesome. So we've got a nice variety here. Deb's going to pour us some wine. It's only 10 in the morning, but
it's only 10 in the morning. So the first S of wine tasting, y'all, is sight. So we look at this wine to see that there's no faults, and it is perfectly clear. Look at that beautiful ruby red color.
And it's nice to put it over something white.
With a white background, you're going to see the exact color. It has a meniscus, which is this watery rim around the edge of the glass, and that just kind of tells us the body or weight of the wine. It also tells us it hasn't been tampered with artificial coloring, which is sometimes used to deepen the color of wine. Did you know that?
I did not. That is unfortunate.
That's unfortunate. Market research shows people choose red wine based on color, and color is not always an indicator of a wine's depth or quality. So I always look for the meniscus, and that way I know that it has not any artificial colors been added. So we see that with this wine. We have a nice meniscus. So now we're going to swirl, and we swirl reds to open up the nose, but also to allow the tannins to open up and soften. Yes, red wine should be aerated. Aerated or opened about an hour ahead of time. I love to put them in decanters. So now how we smell. Now this one's going to have a much better nose. So let's talk about what you're going to smell here.
Yes.
What do you smell?
Black fruit and blue fruits.
Yeah.
Blackberries, maybe black currant.
Oh, absolutely. Black plum, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
And blue fruit. Blue fruit is blueberry, yeah? Because it has sort of a menthol, almost a medicinal smell to it, and that's usually blueberry, right? Anything else going on? You get a little bit of cocoa?
A little bit, yeah. And I think that will go nicely with the chocolate and the cheese, like you said.
It has a nice fresh aroma, doesn't it? Now we're gonna taste. Here it goes at 10 o'clock. I know, none for you.
Yeah, that smells great.
Yum. What did I just do? We call this the Psalm Slurp. Have you ever done that?
You've taught me it before when I was back in Able.
This is so much fun. Y'all have to try it, especially with red wines, because it expands the flavor of the wine. I want you to take a little sip and tuck your chin under and suck air through like you're sucking through a straw, and it just sort of pushes the aromas up into your sinus cavity or your olfactory senses, and so it's like tasting and smelling at the same time, and it really expands the flavor of the wine. You remember that, right? How that would taste? All right, so you want to walk me through it so they can see what I'm doing? So ready?
Yeah. So she's sipping, head down, slurping. So she's getting the taste and the smell all at once. And now she's enjoying.
Yum, yum. That's a technical term, y'all. So now for the pairing. Maybe I'll start with the cheese first, because I'm tasting like earthiness on this wine right now, and I'm tasting that little bit of cocoa, and I want to enhance that. So here goes. Nina.
Oh,
Isn't that delicious?
that would go just fabulous with that.
And I am here to tell you, my mouth is watering so much. It tastes like cocoa. Not chocolate, but like a bitter cocoa. That's awesome. Let's go brisket. Go big or go home.
Yep, got some big pieces here.
When you walk on the site now, the smell of smoked anything that's going on in the meat and three is so delicious.
It just fills the entire site. It is awesome. You guys just really need to visit here.
Yeah, you need to come see for yourself. All right, ready?
Oh, wow.
This is like melt in your mouth. This is nothing. I mean, this is delicious. Smoky, melt in your mouth. Now for our Merlot.
It's so tender.
And again, with a different food, it takes on a different profile. So now I've got the dark fruit and some smokiness because the brisket has brought in smokiness. The tannin, the balance of this wine, the tannin, alcohol, fruit balance of this wine is perfect.
Now, when you go to eat your food and pair your wine, is it best to swallow your food completely first, or do you kind of wash it?
Great
What is the
question.
correct way to do that?
If you add food and wine together, you're going to have a great big mush. Always swallow the food. Food leaves a coating on your tongue, and the wine and the tannins will come in, and they will pull that coating off. Tannins are a component of the skin, stems, and seeds of grapes, and it is what makes wine initially astringent. It gives it that astringency.
Yeah.
And so we're letting those tannins soften just a little bit. And but tannins help break down food. Tannins are what makes red wine healthy for us. Did you know that?
Is it?
Yes.
Why is that?
It helps break down food so that it passes through our system, and it has resveratrol, which is good for the heart. So it has all these great components in tannins that make red wine healthy.
You can have as much red wine as you want, and you'll live
Dr.
longer.
Deb. Yes. So next is the tricky pairing. Now, I had an inkling this was going to be good, but I really didn't know. And when I tasted these two together, I was blown away. And again, this is our collard greens. The key is fat and acid, the friend of red wine. Boy, is that good. If you've never had collard greens, y'all, you need to come here and have some collard greens.
They are something else. Definitely.
Maybe an acquired taste. So anyway, so I've got like that little spark of horseradish on my tongue right now. Got that little hint of heat, and the fat and the acid from the seasonings, southern seasonings, y'all. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I think that's my favorite pairing. Oh my, I can't get over this. How can a green vegetable be the best pairing for this wine? And Merlot just has a softness about it, so it doesn't have a harshness that's going to compete with the collard greens. It just kind of enhances it. My mouth is a little tingly right now from spice, and I like that.
Yeah, mine is still tingling just from those collard greens.
So speaking of heat, the next pairing is our final pairing. Actually, is going to be our chocolate from Tempered. Now, let me get you a knife here and let you cut this. So this is normally chocolate and red wine. That is really not usually a thing. And if I know, it's a very popular thing, but sugar's not a friend of red wine. But this has this chili pepper filling, and this is going to make it really delicious. So again, I've got that little heat on my tongue still from the greens, but here goes.
On the line.
You notice I do finger to use as a fork. Tempered chocolates, the best. Got a little heat going?
As soon as I swallowed it, it hit me.
Oh man. So again, with that little bit of fire going on.
Oh. Wow.
Delicious. That's so, and again, 4 things on my plate. Everything changed the flavor profile of this wine. And that's the cool thing about wine when you start focusing on flavors and pairing. Some things are truly just better. And that's the fun of wine. You have a little plate of food and you have a wine in front of you, and just taste each thing as you're tasting the wine. And if you do this as a practice, pretty soon you start making a mental library of what is best, and then you start thinking that way. I can't open a bottle of wine without thinking what food would be good, and I can't cook a meal without thinking what wine would be good. And that is the beauty of it. I think of wine as a condiment to a meal. So like salt and pepper, fat and acid, wine adds a whole nother component too.
I know, I love that you were able to grab 4 very different options here. You know, you have a meat, you have a cheese,
veggie.
you have a vegetable,
Yeah.
and you have a dessert, you know, and they all go really well with this wine, but in completely different ways, and it will, like you said, change the...
It enhances it so
Yeah.
much. Get out there and experiment, y'all, and play with some wine.
Next week, we are going to be going over the American legends, so we're just kind of moving down the line of these wines. It's another red wine. We're going to first film the history of it, take you to another cool place on our site here, and then that next video will be the pairing and the tasting again. So let us know what you guys like us, follow us. What do you do on YouTube? You share?
You subscribe.
Oh,
so
yes.
be sure to subscribe to our channel, Belle Meade, on YouTube, on the YouTube,
On the YouTube.
on the internet. So yeah, we're several months. We are not in any hurry. We're going to walk you through the seasons, through the wine, through our history.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep letting us know what you want to see, and we're just happy to be here. So make sure you come on out and visit the winery too if you're ever in Nashville. So it's a really awesome place to be.
So cheers.
Cheers, you guys.
And bon appetit.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat this plate of food.
I know.
I'm not going to lie to you.